So everybody, welcome to the next edition of Founders Talk on Impact. Coming to you live from my son's bedroom in Ben's treehouse. It's the new world we're living in, Shawn. Where Ben's doing things from his treehouse and I'm doing things from my son's bedroom. Where are you at, Shawn?
I'm in my office, thankfully, but with 4 kids and a German Shepherd out there, you are bound to hear one of them at some point during this recording. So
Nice.
Stay tuned.
Okay, cool. Well, Shawn is the founder and CEO of Clean the World, which is trying to prevent a lot of deaths related to curable diseases just by helping people wash their hands better. I don't know if I said that right, but I want to introduce Shawn to the stage. How you doing today, Shawn?
I'm doing well. It's great to be here, and what a time to be talking about washing your hands with soap. It probably has never been more relevant and pertinent in our entire lifetimes. So it's good to be with you guys to talk about, clean the world.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And as I was thinking about the questions that I wanted to ask you today, that obviously factored into some of those things I want to talk to you about today. So we're looking forward to hearing you on that. So the easiest place to start is just to give us an idea of just who you are. You know, like who is Shawn Seipler and what led you to soap?
Yeah. So Shawn Seipler is an entrepreneur. I started my first business, had my first business at about 8 years old. I had an outstanding lemonade stand in my neighborhood. I was trying to raise money to buy batteries for my boombox because there was a after-school center next to my neighborhood. There was a number of girls there that were all my age and my friend's age, and we wanted to have batteries in our boombox so we could go do a dance performance for them. So I started this lemonade stand. I did very well. All of a sudden, other lemonade stands started popping up in my neighborhood, which angered me. So then I expanded. I went to popcorn, cookies. They started adding popcorn and cookies. Well, my grandfather was one of the was an original first employee at Walt Disney World, and he would send me these little trinkets and keychains and little Mickey and Minnie Mouse. So once I popped out the Walt Disney World merchandise, and this was actually in Dallas, Texas, where you couldn't find that stuff, I was really able to. So not only did we raise enough money for batteries, but I actually bought a new boombox and a number of other things at that time.
I like that story.
It is awesome. At 15, I also had a lawn mowing business, a car wash business, a babysitting business. My mowing business, actually, I had 3 crews that worked for me. And so I've always been an entrepreneur. Started in technology sales at the age of 21. Had my first 6-figure year at the age of 21 doing and selling technology to transportation and trucking companies. And so that just sort of led to this career of tech sales. And really what led to Clean the World was this mix of entrepreneurial spirit and then this rearing in a household that was very principle driven, church 3 times a week, and just had this growing up, just had this natural fight against the bully. Never liked things that were, or people that were bullies. I was a great athlete growing up, and I remember, for instance, in my elementary school, we would play at recess. There'd be 10 of us playing. I was head and shoulders better than anybody else. But when I picked my team, I picked the 4 bottom guys, and the 4 bottom guys and me would play number 2, 3, 4, and 5 in football. And, we'd win half the time, we'd lose half the time, probably lost more than half the time. But for those moments that we won, for me, seeing those that never won, being able to beat the other kids that were, better than them, brought me a ton of joy and a ton of just inner, satisfaction. So those were sort of the things I think that really combined, not fighting the bully, standing up for those that were lesser or weaker or underserved, and then this entrepreneurial spirit and ability to try and figure out how to earn and how to make in order to do something more and more and more.
Yeah. So So the bully, obviously, in this case is diseases, right? But so the question is why soap? I mean, like you went into this, like one of the things we talk about is the thing that's different about social entrepreneurs is that or social ventures is of the origins or the why behind its founding, right? And so whereas a regular for-profit company is just interested in developing a product for the market that they can obviously exploit some kind of niche and earn some revenue and capital off of that. The social entrepreneur's starting point or reasons why are quite different. And it usually starts with the first two pieces of the social lean business model canvas that we take all our fellows through, with the first one being mission and then impact. And so talk to us a little bit about like those things as it relates to like what led you into developing the mission and understanding the impact of what Clean the World did. Like what was behind that starting point?
Absolutely. So I probably came about that a different way, and so I'll explain it. So in 2008, I was a vice president for a global technology company, ran a global sales team. That company was purchased by Google in 2012, 2013. I was doing very well, and I was selling multi-million-dollar tech deals to Fortune 500, Fortune 100, Fortune 1000 companies. I was on the road 4 nights a week. So my entrepreneurial inside was telling me, I'm leaving my family all the time. I'm making money for a lot of other people. I think I can make my own money. I want to go figure out something on my own. And so I was driven by starting my own business, which then sort of led to sustainability. And as an entrepreneur, I was looking at sustainability and green initiatives. And so I was thinking about, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. I was on T. Boone Pickens' website. I was looking at solar panels. I was looking at all these things in the realm of sustainability. And I was looking for items of waste. So in a hotel room one night, I start thinking about the little bar of soap and a little bottle of shampoo and what happens when I'm done with it. And that's when I called the front desk. They said it gets thrown away. I thought that was interesting. I did research and figured out that we were throwing away 1 million bars of soap every day across hotels across the United States and several million across the globe. So I'm still thinking entrepreneur. I'm not thinking impact. So my next thing becomes, okay, can we recycle soap? Yes. Okay, what can we do with soap? And, could we remake it and put it retail? Can we, it was, again, not really impact, just what do we do with it? During that research, we, discovered and sort of found, we were looking for where the origins of soap, and we found these studies, multiple studies that showed that at that time in 2009, there were 9,000 children under the age of 5 that were dying every day to dying every day to pneumonia and diarrheal disease. Number 1, number 2 killers of children worldwide, and 9,000 children every day under the age of 5. All the studies showed that if we gave them soap and taught them how and when to wash their hands, that we could cut those deaths in half. That was when the impact really hit me, and that whole fight the bully thing really hit me, because I can remember sitting back and going, wait a second. There was nothing magical in this study. 9,000 children, the number 1 and number 2 killers of children worldwide. All these studies say they just need to have soap. And meanwhile, we're throwing away 1 million bars of soap every day in the US, several million across the globe. And that was really when the impact came together, and the entrepreneurial, spirit combined with sort of this isn't fair, this isn't right. Why does that happen? Can I make a business out of this that would allow me to go save these children's lives, but also make a business out of it? And so that was, impact came sort of after we started figuring out what we were thinking, looking to do in the recycling soap, area. And then it led to, wait a second, there's huge amount of impact that we can have here. So that's how we really made that determination. And I remember there's another gentleman that really was one of the co-founders with me. There's a couple, but I remember he and I having a really clear discussion where we said, listen, I really think this is going to be an impact-driven organization. This could be a nonprofit. This may not fulfill all the things that we have been thinking about in terms of starting a business to be, multi-million, multi-billionaires. I mean, whatever that is, are we okay with that fact? Because this end goal the success may not be seen in the balance sheet and in the bank account. It's gonna be seen in saved lives and helping children, helping people. And that was a really easy discussion for both of us to have, because it was like, yeah, no, this is kind of purpose, this is legacy, this is helping those that we want to help. And so that was really when that transition occurred, and it became a social entrepreneurial business, not just an entrepreneurial business.
Yeah. So you looked at the data and you said, as you're going about starting this business, and you're saying to yourself, okay, like all these people, all these children are dying because of these diseases, and washing is the number one way to get rid of these diseases. And so if I could just get them soap, I can keep all these kids from dying. And so for you, I'm curious, like what's the percentage of what do those statistics look like in terms of those numbers, in terms of like the diseases that they were dying for, and how soap was impacting that?
So in 2009, it was 9,000 children under the age of 5 dying every day. So 5.5 million children a year dying every day to pneumonia and diarrheal disease, number 1, number 2 killers of children worldwide. And all the studies showed between a 40% to 60% reduction if they just had soap. And by the way, that's not soap in clean water. That was just soap potentially in dirty water. If they had clean water and soap, you could eliminate and eradicate those 2 top killers of children.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting problem too, because it's a place where traditional business falls down because there's not a customer there. It's not that we can't produce soap to meet that need. It's not that we can't distribute soap to meet that need. It's that there's not the money in it that there is to continue to deliver soap, partial bars of soap for everyone staying at all the Hilton hotels, right? We could deliver that, right? Because there's a customer for that. And so it's a really beautiful example, I think, of the potential of social enterprise to really think more deeply about the role of markets and business in the world, to say, we can address this problem and we can find a different way to make it profitable, besides the traditional sell to a customer. We have to think more complexly about it. Can you tell the story about that first drop where you went to the church in Haiti and that the numbers hit home for you?
Yeah, so that was we launched in February of 2009, and we were in a single car garage in Orlando, recycling this soap. And we did some distributions to some local charities in Central Florida, but we were like, we've got to get international. And so Pastor Julio Brutus, who's still our Caribbean director today, he runs a set of churches in Cape Haitian, Haiti. So he says, we're going to go to Cape Haitian, Haiti. I'm like, yeah, let's go. I'm revved up to go. Well, we load 2,000 bars of soap. We go to Fort Myers, and we load in a DC-3 propeller airplane that was like built in the 40s, and we strap into a nothing seat. We take off at about this time when the props are going and we're starting to take off. Is really about the time that everything went from being real like, oh, this is going to be fun, this is going to be cool, to like, what the hell am I doing right now? Like, why would I have ever signed up for this? And so we take off. At some point about halfway through, the pilots have me come up to the front, and they're like, technically we're in the Bermuda Triangle. I'm like, okay. He goes, yeah, you notice how you can't really see in front of you. Your compasses start not working, and they're almost trying to mess around with me a little bit. I'm like, guys, this is not the time, right now, because I'm wondering, what are we doing here? Anyway, we land in Cape Haitian, Haiti. By the way, when we land, we have to circle the runway once because there's a cow on the end of the runway that has to really get out of the way. So they actually have to do almost a flyby to get it sort of moved. And then we land, and Haiti is, as you guys know, it's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. As soon as we land, We go through this wrangling of customs. You know, we go through that whole thing. We load in cars. We're being mobbed by people who are you know, wanting to get product, get money from you, get anything they can. It was early in the morning when we took off, so we're driving directly to this church at this point, and I'm just seeing and just experiencing this, just this thing that needs to be solved, and that you just see hygiene can help so much, and it can make such a big difference in the lives of people. And we drove directly to the Evangelical Church of Haiti in Cape Haitian. We drove in the back. There were some trucks that had gone ahead of us with some of our product, and they had unloaded. The customs thing, by the way, is about a 2-hour process. I mean, it's a long. So by the time we get in, it's Wednesday about noon. It's it's July of '09, right? It's about 100 degrees outside. We walk into the back of this church, and there are 10,000 Haitians, all dressed, mostly those in front, all dressed in their like Sunday best. It is blazing hot out, and our 2,000 bars of soap are in a few boxes in front of them. And I just come in. I had no idea that it was 2,000 bars for 10,000 people. And I'm just going, wow, we don't have enough. We've missed. Wow, there's need. And the box went in front of them. They all lifted their hands. They prayed over it. When things open back up, and you can come experience our soap museum, you'll see this image, the picture of the bars of soap, and them raising their hands and praying over the soap. And the soap was just gone in seconds. I mean, it was just gone in seconds. As a matter of fact, CBS Evening News was there, and they did a piece on it. You could see it. You could see how it just exploded out. And for me, that was really when this entire mission, this entire thing went from a real clear understanding in my mind to a real clear understanding in my heart. This was incredible need. We had to come back. And so the only thing I could say to them and through an interpreter was that, sorry, we didn't have enough. We will come back with more soap. We promise. And since that time, we've distributed more than 3 million bars of soap to the northern part of Haiti and to Haiti. And of course, a few months after that, the Haiti earthquake happened in January 12 of 2010. But that was really, for me, one of the most impactful moments that I experienced, that really just got me to understand the clear need and desire, for us to get done what we had to get done to help people around the world.
Yeah, no, that's a really cool story. Thanks for sharing that. So you get down there and you see this incredible need, and you realize that this need is not only there, but it's across the world, right? And so with every social venture, and I want to segment. I'm gonna give you a preview of what I want to talk about also in this, but I want to segment it into two pieces. The first thing is, you see this incredible need. You say, "Hey, I got to develop a business model in order to meet this need." And so I want you to talk about that business model, but then I want to then at some point, then talk about how your business model has changed. But I want you to stay focused on like pre-COVID in terms of what business model you developed and how does that look like? How do you deliver that impact with that business model? What was that business model?
Sure. We had several iterations of this. The 2009 launching iteration was, we were going to be a nonprofit. We were going to ask people for money, and that was going to support our mission. Mind you, I'm an executive that sells multi-million-dollar technology deals to people. When I started trying to ask people for money to donate to the mission, it didn't work. In 2009, the economy was in a horrible position, and there was no, I started to learn what it means to actually get money from family houses and foundations and those that grant money. It's just not as easy as them thinking you got this great. So the business model failed horribly in 2009, and we went broke. And there's a great article you can read in the Orlando Sentinel called "Clean the World's Rocky Path to Success." You can read about my losing of a home, my wife's car being repossessed, the power being cut in our house. I went through all my kids' college funds. We were dying. And many, many times I was in moments where it was you know, all of this, I've given so much up to try to help, and I know we can help, and it ain't going to work. And that was really when, out of that necessity, we birthed what became the business model, which is, you know, yeah, people can't buy the soap that we're giving it to, no doubt about it. But the people that we're taking it from, the hotels, this is a value to them. This is something that helps them meet green, you know, check marks. It's sustainable. It helps them from a social impact perspective. You know, CSR, corporate social responsibility, was just starting to really matter to them. Remember, it came out of post 2009, bad economy, millennials really being socially conscious and sort of being in that prime, you know, time of their teenage years, and in the households, and baby boomers, very philanthropic. So this whole CSR thing was happening. So, you know, for a hotel, this is CSR, this is sustainability. Their housekeepers, you know, in the state of Florida, a third of their housekeepers are Haitian. We're delivering bars of soap and DC3s to Haitians. Like, that's got to count for something to these hotels. It's got to be a value for their, you know, from an HR perspective. So we basically started kind of bundling all of this value to the hotel, and basically went back to the hotel and said, listen, we feel like you should pay us for this program, for this CSR, sustainable, planet protecting, life saving, HR, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And it wasn't just as easy as I'm making it sound. Trust me, there was a lot of, you know, no's early on, and us having to redo it and remake the pitch. We really got a great break when we got a Fox News piece done, and then a CBS Evening News piece done in when we were in Haiti. And then actually, when the Haiti earthquake happened, I just happened to be distributing soap to a tent city in outside of Port-au-Prince, and there was CBS Evening News again, and Dr. LaPook did a second story on us. So we did get some breaks with some media, but really there was that trial and error that led us to the hotel should be paying for this program. They should be giving us the soap. We should give them a very turnkey, easy, back-end operational system, one that takes the least amount of time. We give them all the instruction and the training, and then we got to drive PR. We got to drive marketing and media. We got to give them digital assets. We got to tell the story. We've got to, you know, in a way, clean the world out of it and really make it about the hotel serving the Haitian, about the, you know, hotel brand serving the people in need. And when we started to really focus on, you know, just making that connection, our brand as an offset, it actually then shot up, because every person did a press release, Clean the World's name was in it. Every person that wanted to tell that story and put the digital assets on social media, it was connecting Clean the World. So that helped really drive the value of the brand, and over the course of time made it easier for us to go to hotels and say, well, now you're buying this brand, and this is what the brand will do for you. It will help your customers, your consumer, your meetings and events, you know, big group business. It'll help them see that you really care about the environment, that you really care about diverting landfill, that you really care about saving lives and helping people in communities around the world. And so, you know, with that, we really developed the business model. Again, I make it sound pretty easy here, but it was a lot of, you know, no's and pivots and turns and fighting and making it happen.
Yeah. So it started off with a nonprofit that didn't work. Then you said, okay, I can sell hotels on the image and the PR that comes with this, and how it impacts who they are as a brand and how customers interact with them, and that whole story. So then that was a business model. But then I know that it progressed from there. So tell me what was insufficient about the business model with specifically selling the soap to hotels, and then how to talk about where that launched you to in the next iteration of your business model.
Sure. And when we talk, there's a lot of different things inside of it as a business model, because what's also happening sort of under the covers is we're a nonprofit. Then we're a nonprofit signing a bunch of contracts with hotels. Then we're not getting the funding and the capital dollars we need to purchase more capital. So then we launch a for-profit that's kind of inside the nonprofit. Then we flip it and we make the for-profit customer facing. So all these things happen in 09, 10, 11, 12. and you know, I'll give you just a real quick example. We're a nonprofit with a bunch of contracts with hotels that has a for-profit staffing company inside of it. The for-profit staffing company allows us to start getting some bank access to some credit from some banks. But in terms of trying to get to an investor, investors don't want to invest in a staffing company that only has one big client, which is the nonprofit, and the nonprofit's still controlled by an independent board and has all the customer relationships. So investors really didn't like that. And then donors really didn't want to give to the nonprofit that had a bunch of customers already, that already had hotels giving to it. Like, why do you need me? You've got all these hotels. So we really had to flip the model, make the for-profit, which, by the way, B Corps made all of that possible. When the emergence of B Corps came, we were able to take the for-profit, leverage it to become a B Corp. We actually were Florida's first B Corp, became B Lab certified. That allowed us to have this for-profit company that has a mission, and it kind of gave you this veil that previously the 501c3 gave you. Oh, you have a 501c3, you're a do-gooder. Well, oh, you're a for-profit, you're a bad doer. You know, you're in it for money. Well, once the B Corp came, okay, now we have a for-profit that needed to raise money, that needed to get to do well in order to do good. And so that helped kind of change it, the dynamic. And so then what happened, that's all happening sort of behind the scenes, although a lot of conversations that I've got to have with our clients, because when I have to start calling our clients, our big ones, and go, listen, we're going to take you from a contract with a 501c3 and we need to move your contract over to a for-profit. That becomes I've got to be able to articulate that to them.
Well, and Shawn, I really like that story because it emphasizes a point we've been making, which is that your mission, your purpose, and your impact on your social lean canvas are the indelible directional points of a social enterprise. We exist because this problem is in the world and we want to have this impact on that problem. And then everything else is up for grabs. But the mission and impact, the purpose and impact for Clean the World did not change. It was, we can reduce the environmental footprint and increase prevention of communicable diseases by distributing soap. We just have to figure out the best tool, the best customer, identify that customer problem. And that piece is always evolving underneath these like two overarching things that never change. Clean the World's a really cool example of that.
And let me tell you too, Ben, that's a great point you make, because it took us a while to go. Like, I was very apprehensive. I was very much, no, we can't flip out of the 501c3. It's not going to be good. And I battled that internally quite a bit. We finally got to that position. You know, I'm talking months and months, maybe even years of us having this discussion. When I started picking the phone up and calling our big customers and saying, here's what we need to do and why, they said, fine. Yeah. You guys have a mission. You enact the mission. You show us the data. You show us what you're doing all the time. Hey, if you think that being a for-profit is going to be better for you than being a nonprofit, we're all for it. Right. And I was so relieved, of course, but I was so, you know, just like fulfilled that our clients, and it came back to the mission was core. The delivery of the mission was core. It always was from the beginning. We communicated it. We gave impact statements. There was media, everything that was, we were transparent around that. And so for them, it was, hey, whether you're for-profit or nonprofit, doesn't matter. You're doing what you've told us you're going to do. Just keep doing what you tell us you're going to do.
That's awesome.
You know, rest is history. And I will say, I'll just finish real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Kyle, that what we did end up doing once we got the Clean the World recycling program, hotel recycling program, it just to kind of give you a real quick, on average in the United States, a hotel will pay between 50 cents to 80 cents per room per month. So a 100-room hotel would pay 50 to 80 bucks a month. 1,000-room hotel would pay 500 to 800 bucks a month. And that will give them everything they need for the program. They're going to get bins sent to their hotel. They're going to get labels that are going to send their bins back to our center, impact statements, training, PR, digital assets. They'll get me sometimes speaking at conferences and events. You know, we have an app that interacts and does everything. So it's a turnkey recycling, but really it's a marketing CSR, you know, program.
Right.
So that really started going, and what we evolved into was an impact products organization. So as my, nature was always to, especially in the tech world, was to create products. We really evolved that into a product creating company and started to say, okay, how do we now replicate this with a different product or with some other sort of impact? How do we help a corporation help and drive impact to others? And so really over the last 4 or 5 years, we started creating new products. So our hygiene kit, which is sold to meetings and events and conventions where they build big assembly lines and they build hygiene kits. Many of you have probably done meal builds, very similar to meals, but hygiene kits. We've probably done 5,000 events, 5 million hygiene kits over the last 5 years. Any big corporate company you can think of has been our customer. Amazon, JP Morgan Chase, Microsoft, Spotify, Facebook, tech, Wells Fargo, Toyota, Walmart, all been our clients there. And then we created a college curriculum that did very well. We launched it last year. UCF, UC Berkeley, UNLV, Mount Union, all clients of ours there. It's an experiential learning college curriculum on social entrepreneurship. And then we've also done the mobile hygiene, which is this awesome showered 40-foot trailer in Las Vegas. It gives 10,000 showers a year. It was sponsored by Las Vegas Sands. It's been so popular that Vegas is now buying a second one. Looks like we're getting ready to deploy one here in Central Florida, hopefully in partnership with another awesome group that's doing it here. And then we may be doing one in Tampa. So we've created these additional products. And I think that's also helped us, by the way, if we end up kind of transitioning to kind of what's happening now, it's helped us deal with this particular current situation because we've got to be entrepreneurial. We've got to figure out how to create a new product.
Yeah, that's so I just want to walk people back through this, okay? Because it's so interesting. And although you're a well-known organization, that people don't really understand that, like how many pivots and turns you had to make in order to get today, and even still today with what's going on, you may have to turn or have already started to turn again. And so to walk back through, it was a nonprofit who then you became then you started hopefully trying to donate money. That was not the right thing. And so then you had to go out and get contracts with hotels. And they paid you to take soap off of their hands, and that soap you get out there to people who need it. So that's helping further your impact. And then you figure out structurally that that's not the best way, and then you make some changes. And then as a tech guy, you say, okay, let me use my background to now come up more of a product company. How can I develop products that continue to deliver this impact? And so that became you're selling CSR programs to hotels. Like you can do this to other organizations by having these hygiene kit packaging things where they pay you for you to come on site or for the employees to go somewhere to put these things together, right? And that's a CSR thing for them. And then, so do I got all that right?
You do. And by the way, in that entire continuum, opened up in Amsterdam, Montreal, Punta Cana, Hong Kong, Shanghai. Yeah. So did it all internationally as well during that entire period.
And then you have a truck that's out there that's giving showers, which is a hygiene thing, and then a curriculum, which this is a new one for me that you developed that gives students an experiential experience. Maybe that wasn't the right way to say that, but gives the students this experience where they're involved around social entrepreneurship. But is that also social entrepreneurship around cleanliness and health? Like how does that program further the impact of delivering or helping get rid of these?
Well, that's a great question. So through this entire process, right, there's been a lot of people that want me to come speak. So I've had the blessing of speaking to colleges across the United States and across the globe. I've spoken at a couple colleges in China and in Europe. I've lectured at Harvard. So as social entrepreneurship has become this really hot item on college campuses, we said, hey, how do we get in front of that? How do we help with that message? How do we help people see the Clean the World story as an inspiration to them? So we created this online curriculum. But there's an experiential component which allows students to break into groups, and then they come up with their own marketing, their business plan, their sales plan to sell the hygiene kit experience in their local communities. So now they split into groups, and we take them through the whole process of having, identify who's going to work on marketing communication, who's going to work on back-end operational processing, who's going to work on. And so once they kind of do that, they have this opportunity to learn how to go sell the product, put the build on, find the charity locally that they're going to support. And so they end up doing hygiene kit builds essentially. And along the way, we're teaching them social entrepreneurship and the importance of that. So we've tied that in, and along the way, we get a bunch of hygiene kits now that go to local homeless shelters that are around UC Berkeley, UNLV, Mountain Union, UCF.
Yeah, gotcha. So, okay, so we're there, and we're building this business model to deliver this impact, and then COVID drops onto the earth.
Then comes COVID.
Now let's talk about how you still got the same impact you're trying to deliver, but I can see how a few of those pieces may be harder now with COVID in the picture, because hotels are no longer, they're not, there's no one in them, so there's no soap to get from them. And so like how has impacted your business model, and how do you still deliver impact in this, this post-COVID world?
Well, it's the irony of ironies with COVID. Okay. For 11 years, we have been saying, we've been using hashtag soap saves lives, hashtag, as you can see it, wash your hands, bro. Okay. Right. That's our shirt. Okay. By the way, there's a million knockoffs right now, and they're all getting cease and desist letters. We've trademarked that. So
how can we get
11 years we've been preaching, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. Okay. Now COVID comes, and wash your hands is said exponentially over the last, 4 months, compared to, the last 11 years. At the same time, our primary, last year as an enterprise, we did about 12 million. We were coming into this year, we had an awesome budget. January, February, we knocked it out of the park. We're going to be a $15 million enterprise this year. All of our revenue basically comes to a screeching halt. Hotels, they're done. They're closed. They're shut down. Their revenue gone. Meetings and events and conventions, people coming together, done, gone. It's
right.
So we're in the middle of, 6 weeks ago, I had 90 team members around the world. Over the course of the last 6 weeks, we took that down to 15 people. And literally last week, in a back-end structural change that we needed to make to sort of hover through right now to get ourselves going, and I'm going to talk about that, I actually had to terminate myself. So imagine being the founder of an organization that you then have to write your own termination letter, 11 years later, through the crisis that needs soap more than at any time, anywhere in the history of the world. So here's what we've done. Number one, we got a lot of soap in our warehouse. So we have been able to maintain getting our soap out. Our foundation has been able to get some donors in to be able to keep some of our operational staff on board so that they can, continue to process and get soap out. So over the last week, we've sent 700,000 bars of soap out. I know we've sent a truckload to Seattle. We've sent 2 truckloads to New York. We've sent a truckload to the Mexico-U.S. border. We actually sent a truckload to Zambia as well. And we are just continuing to crank and get soap out as we do. Interestingly, this is what happens. I tell people when you're trying to help, you're trying to do good, I'm telling you, things are going to happen. Things are going to break for you. So one of our big customers is Las Vegas Sands, right? They are the Venetian, the Palazzo. Every year they do 100,000 kit build with us. And they do that kit build in 4 locations. They do it in Macau, Singapore, Vegas, and then usually they have another locations. New York, Jakarta, it's been all over the place. Beijing. Literally about 4 or 5 days before the world started coming to an end, they wired us their money for their 100,000 kit build plus their other program with us this year. So it was $500,000 wire we received from them. Then the sky fell and everything went down, right? So we're struggling just to kind of figure out, what we're doing. So Sands comes to us and they say, look, I don't know if we're going to be able to do these builds. We need 20,000 hygiene kits for this shelter for at-risk children in Las Vegas. Can you please build these kits? Well, at this point, we have shut Vegas down. We've got, most of our employees have been laid off here in Orlando, and we said, yes, we're going to figure out how to build it. So we ended up putting these. Whenever we do a build, an event, we have these master kit boxes, we call them. These master kit boxes, we drop them at the end of a table, and in that, what we call master kit box, are all the supplies to lay out on that table to build 100 kits. So if we're doing a 5,000 kit build or a 10,000 kit build or whatever, you just drop these 100 boxes. This is operationally how we do it at the end of all these, tables, depending on how big the room is and all that. So we have all these boxes. We said, you know what, we're going to make a box for a family, and the family's going to take the box home. We're going to call out on social media. We're going to call out to our supporters, and they're going to get this box, take it home, have an at-home experience with their kids and their families and all that. They're going to build the hygiene kit. So we're going to give them instructions and teach them how to do it quickly. And they're going to bring that box back with those 100 kits, inside the box. So we call out on social media, and I'm in the Lake Nona area, and we do a call out in the Lake Nona Country Club HOA. Okay. The response was phenomenal. I mean, just a huge outpour. Yes, we want it. We need the box. Give me the box. Give me the box. Here in the Lake Nona area, we had Ian Poulter, professional golfer. Ahmad Brooks was an NFL guy. Demetrius Bronson, NFL, WWE guy. Chow sisters, who are well-known young female golfers. We had John Davis, head of the Orlando Chamber, Shelley Lawton, just these power players in Central Florida all jump in and say, we want to do this. We're going to do the box. Enthusiasm's through the roof. So I'm sitting there handing boxes out to people out of my yard, social distancing, the whole nine. And I'm going, wait a second. People are home with their kids. They need an at-home product. Why don't we convert this product to an at-home box that people can buy, get shipped to their home, they build the kits, then they can decide if they want to send it to a hospital in New York, or they want to send it to a food pantry in New Orleans, or they want to send it to, assisted living in Seattle. They could do that. And so over the course of the last 2 weeks, we went into full product development mode. We went back to our clients, our corporate partners, and said, listen, what if we brought this same product to you, but you buy it for all of your employees, okay? In the last 7 days, we have generated $10 million of proposals. Our clients are going nuts for the box. JP Morgan Chase, AT&T, the list goes on. There's a marketing company that works with Mazzano Tires, Chick-fil-A, Walmart. Everyone wants to buy the box, send it to their employees. They want the impact. They want to do it at home. They want to do box parties, blah, blah, blah. So full mode. To yesterday we had the meeting. Tomorrow I hire back 6 of my salespeople. We did, by the way, also apply for the PPP. It is total chaos, but we have received an approval on it. So we should end up receiving about $1.2 million in the next couple of weeks. And I mean, I'm telling you, these people are going, I need the proposal. I need the proposal. I need the box. I need the box. When can you get it to me? So all of a sudden, and I'm telling you, I was supposed to do this last week. And last week would not have been a good week for me to do this. We were not there last week. And last week I was still at the bottom of the valley. Okay. A week later, 7 days later, we are trekking up the mountain again. And we figured this out. We're in full product development mode. And I expect that we'll be launching out publicly the Soap Saves Lives box that will start going heavy out probably in the next 7 to 10 days. And Lord willing, we're going to now create another product that's direct to the consumer, because now once we get connected with these employees of these, directly of the corporations, we now have direct connections for development, for future boxes, for subscription box program, for the whole platform that we're going to go build. And so when hotels come back online and meetings and events come back online, which, by the way, what is that really going to look like? 5 months from now, 10 months from now? We don't know. We just don't know. I ask myself this all the time. I'm a football guy. How are they going to put 70,000 people in a stadium in the fall? I mean, how is that going to happen? So I don't know how they're going to put 5,000 people on a board in a convention center, a convention hall, or whatever. Well, hopefully they were going to figure that out. But in the meantime, we're going to go direct to people's homes and help them build. So we have now created and are creating another product, and hopefully it's going to save us and bring us all back to clean the world again.
Yeah, man, that's really cool. And it kind of goes back to a thing that we've been talking about to our fellows, which is when they do their theory change canvas, you have a desired state and horizon, which sits on your, depends on how you're looking at it, but sits on your right. And then on the left is the current state. And then there's all these things of like, how do you get from the current state to the desired state? And, obviously you have some enablers here, but then you have a product that you stick in there where that helps you get to that desired state or that horizon. And so, like this is an example of that the current state is well established, the desired state is still there, and the horizon is still there, but the product has kind of shift and change and morph, and it hasn't changed both ends, but you can because the theory change is really well constructed, like, and that there's evidence and research out there that proves that if you do this thing, this will happen, that you just stick the business model in there, you pull one out and put another one back in there and pull it out, and everything still moves over. And so I think that is a great example of how that theory change in real life works.
Yeah. And what's interesting is because we've got these awesome relationships with these corporate partners, as we sort of literally, we have a product development meeting now every single day. So that's my 10 o'clock. I get right back into those 2 hours. So as we immediately start shifting on things, we're actually in real time able to get on the phone with some of our key customers and clients and go, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, what if we deliver it this way? Like there's whole new things that are coming up now around data security, and because we're going to now get into the homes of these employees. How do we protect all that? How do we, there's now shipping an individual box to 1,000 employees versus sending 1,000 boxes to a singular location. Right. How's that going to work? So it's great that as we do this in this crazy time, we're actually able to even get on the phone with our market, with our client base very quickly and go, what do you think about this? How do you respond to that? And so, so it's been a very expedited process, but it's been fun.
Yeah.
I also like that this thinking about impact, that you've really tied Clean the World to an impact, not a product, over the 10 years that you've been in business, and that's not been a gimmick for you, that's been authentic. So in your presentation of who Clean the World is, you front the impact and the measures that you've built to keep track of that impact, so that it's not surprising when you pivot to a direct customer, to especially the customers you're talking about pivoting to are the people who've been using your branded product in your corporate clients. Right. And it doesn't feel disingenuous to them that you would try and sell them something because you're aligned with this impact. And so they know there's cost in making the impact. They don't begrudge you that cost. They still want to join you in making impact. And I think that Shawn, you're a really interesting social entrepreneur in your capacity to tread that line between building a business that makes sense and building it on this impact. And so I'm glad that you were able to take some time. I know you got obviously a lot of moving pieces right now, but the story of Clean the World and the way that you've built business, taken business principles, but built it on the back of an impact, we can all learn a lot from that. So thanks for taking the time.
Yeah. So, and I know you jump on a call at 10, and I want to leave some time for the fellows to be able to ask some questions, but just one, in all your wisdom, all your experience, can you list out, 2, 3, 4 like key activities that anyone at the early stage of social entrepreneurship, such as our fellows, can like they need to be participating in to make sure that they're measuring, developing impact, moving towards impact, measuring impact? Like, what are those 2 or 3 pieces of, or 4 pieces of nuggets of wisdom or advice that you would give?
Yeah. So, number one, so a few things. Those that you are impacting, don't make that sort of this ethereal, I think they're going to like this. Like, get with those that you're impacting. What do you need? How is this going to help you? Tell me how you could do more of it. Tell me, here's what I think would help you, but is this really what would help you? I mean, every step of the way, we've sat with those, initially those homeless shelters. When it was in Haiti, it was with the people there. When it was with the mobile hygiene unit, it was with those. We had an advisory council of local NGOs, sitting with those that you're serving and really understanding. Don't think that you're smarter than them or understand more of what they need. Sit with them and go, what do you need? How can I help you? How can I serve you and those that you are helping and serving? Measure it every step of the way. Every step of the way, collect the data. Figure out new ways to be able to collect data. Anything that you're doing, collect, because you want to be able to have that real depository of information and real impact data that's being done, and you want to be able to share that very clearly with those that are buying from you, or those that are see the value in this. I think document it every step of the way. I think the more transparent you are, the more you have the ability to be able to show people what you've been able to do and accomplish, and be very genuine about it. So, if there are times or opportunities where, you're coming across something and go, hey, this maybe is not driving the impact that I need or want. Maybe you've positioned it within your product or positioned it with your customers. That's okay. It's okay to learn that and maybe figure out that something you thought was going to make an impact is not as much. It needs to shift, even if you think that's going to impact sort of what happens from your customer standpoint. Because I think that the transparency and the honesty within trying to figure it out really allows you to get back to the customer and go, listen, here's what I thought. Here's why I thought it. It's not actually the case. I think we need to make a shift, a change. I think you'll get a lot of people that appreciate that authenticity and that real transparency when it comes to trying to figure out, who you're impacting, who you're trying to help and serve.
Yeah, that's awesome. So really quickly, fellows, we have about 6 minutes. Does anyone have questions for Shawn today? Your microphone, remember, turn it.
Of course I do. Hi, Shawn. Angela Timbrook. So I understand your pivot. I'm kind of in a similar boat in that I have a nonprofit and a couple of for-profits, but mainly our work is around food, like producing food differently and putting it in people's hands. How did you manage from going, so I've been in a situation where I had to beg people for money before the nonprofit. And then, so we developed for-profits so we could make money. And now we're in this pivot of COVID. And now all of the things that I've ever done are coming into my nonprofit. And I'm able to pay the farmers that we work with money to do what they do, farm. And we're packing and we have our pack house. How did you message that?
Mm-hmm. Well, your nonprofit or your for-profit status, really at the end of the day, what I've learned over these 11 years, okay, those are back-end tax structures. They indicate whether you pay taxes or don't pay taxes. They really don't have a bearing on what happens from an impact standpoint. They certainly have a bearing if someone is giving money to a 501c3 and expects to have a deduction for that. But number one, those back-end structures should not change what happens on your front-end impact. At the same time, you should have every tool in your toolbox in order to get capital in order to get revenue in, and you should try to leverage that in a social entrepreneurial enterprise or company, to me, I would always try and find how to have a nonprofit, how to have a for-profit, because again, you want all tools in the toolbox. You want to make sure they're operating well. They do have to be, by the way, arm's length. There's a whole IRS reg around safe harbor that you have to follow very clearly to make sure that as an interested party on both sides of those things that you're protected and all that good stuff. The interesting thing is 2009, nonprofit only, failed, didn't work, had to bring the for-profit in. For years, our for-profit carried the nonprofit. You know, most of the money the nonprofit made, the single biggest donor was the for-profit. Last 6 weeks, totally reversed. Conversation I've had, so I'm the CEO of the for-profit, and I'm the chairman of the board for the nonprofit. So our executive director, Sam Stevens, I had a conversation with him about 3 weeks ago. I said, Sam, you know, you've heard from me over the last many years about how we have helped support, you know, the nonprofit. I need you to help support me right now. I right now, until I can get myself to through this little valley on the for-profit side, every donor, everything you come in, I got to expect that you're going to pay on our contract between the two entities, which we haven't any. So the nonprofit actually pays the for-profit to recycle the soap and pays for the marketing and finance and other things that we do. In the past, we've been, it pays, it doesn't pay. And most of it, we wrote off. But today it's, I need you more than ever. So you never know when those roles are going to be reversed. Sounds like that's exactly what's happening with you, Angela, is that those roles are reversing. So, you know, look, that's going to happen. That's another value to having more tools in your toolbox and being able to have the for-profit, the nonprofit, making sure they're interacting together. And I just think the messaging to anybody, whether, you know, when someone is buying from my for-profit company, from Clean the World Ventures, when a hotel is buying the recycling program, they are buying the work that Clean the World Foundation does when it delivers soap to the Syrian refugee camp, or when it delivers, you know, soap or hygiene kits to, you know, the food pantry here in Central Florida. So they're buying from a for-profit company, but what they're buying is they're buying that distribution, that deliverable that comes out of the nonprofit. And because we have safe harbor, because we've got a setup structure, because we've been very full, open, and honest with them, they're bought into that entire structure and knowing that those entities work together in order to deliver the good that they're paying for.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. We got time for one more question. And does anybody have a question?
Yeah, I do. So, Shawn, twice in your story, you were convincing your customers to buy from you. You know, at first you're convincing these hotels, right? You want to be sustainable, you know, invest in us or purchase from us, right? And now you're convincing during a crisis your corporate customers to continue to purchase from you, right? And so kind of in a similar way, I'm in a similar boat right now. You know, microfinance institution, banks, they all know they need to dedicate more money to their training programs. But right now they're like, I need liquidity. Like, and so I'm just curious how you navigate those conversations to get them from, yeah, I know that's essential, but not now, to send me 10,000 kits tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a great question. And, you know, the really interesting thing about that, I don't know that I'm going to give you a magic answer. I know that for us, people know they need to impact. Okay. It took us a while for the hotels, you know, 2009 compared to where we were, right before COVID. We went from 0 hotels to 8,000 hotels globally running our program. Okay. In that amount of time, though, it took a while. You know, we had to, it wasn't just, you had the early adopters, they got on board, they got a lot of media, a lot of press, a lot of PR, and then others kind of had to come along because it became, I sort of have to do this because it's the right thing to do and because all my competitors do it, okay? One of the things that I'm very concerned about with my hotel soap recycling program, once this has now happened and everyone has basically gone dark, okay, when are we really going to get all that business back? Because, you know, a hotel starts collecting the day somebody comes to the check-in counter, puts their credit card down, starts ringing it. Got it. But of my 8,000 hotel partners, which ones came on board because they had to, because the industry required that they did, but now have the COVID-19 excuse and reason to go, it's going to be a couple of years. we anticipate that we're probably have lost 40% of our business in that product line for probably the next 12 to 18 months, probably 20% of it for the next 36 months, because there's that group, I think that core real group that did it for very much for the right reasons and understood the value and were there early on. I think those folks aren't going to go anywhere. But I do believe that right now there will be we'll shed a lot of those customers and have to go through that fight again to get them back. Maybe quicker this time. We're a lot smarter. We know what we're doing. We've got a global brand. We've been on all the news, globally and all that stuff. But that is a concern of mine, right? So when I go back now to the corporate partners, the surprise that we had from them, they get that their employees are home. They want to help. They want to do something. Their kids are all home. I mean, they're seeing this every day. Every time they get on their Zoom with their, meetings, cats run in the background, kids screaming. This is the reality that we're in today. So I think for us, the presentation of that and them buying it, it was less convincing. It was more kind of, hey, what do you think? And they're like, oh no, we need it. We got to give something to our employees. It's got to help. So, so that being said, I think that it's, people know that for their clientele, okay, they have to do good. People know in the banking industry that they have to train. They get it. They understand it. Today's priority and today's reason, COVID is causing this. I got to have liquidity. I've got to figure out why I'm processing all these bad loans. I don't know, all this stuff. But that's going to die down at some point. And your job, in my opinion, is just stay in front of them. Stay in front of them with what you do. Don't, just use this opportunity to get in front of even more people, to get even more people ready to go. And when the day that the thing starts to dial down a little bit, now it's okay, you're right. I got to get back to business as usual a little bit. And I got to get this training done. You're there in front of them, front and center, to where, okay, let's give her a try. Let's go, give this company a try. Yeah. That's probably my best advice on sort of what to do at this time. And I can, Kyle, if you need me to, I can hang a few more minutes. They're okay for me to wait if there's any.
Yeah. What we want to do, because in the recording we want to keep it to an hour. But we can hang on after that. But so everybody just still hang out. But Shawn, I just want to really appreciate you sharing your knowledge, obviously with the fellows and obviously people that we share this with, both locally, regionally, nationally, internationally. Two things I want to say is, one, where do people go to get one of those wash your hands bro shirts? Where can we get one of those?
Go to cleantheworld.org and you can buy one of your wash your hands bro shirts. And when you buy a shirt, you're sending 10 bars of soap to somebody in need across the United States. We also have wash your hands babe shirts, so you can get a bro or a babe shirt.
Is it pink? Is a babe shirt pink?
Well, there's different colors, but babe is written in a very sleek, cool, pink, sexy way, whereas bro is very non-sexy, very rigid, very,
All right, well, cool, man, cool. Well, once again, thanks for sharing. Virtual pound, everybody. Virtual pound, let's keep it clean. All right, cool.